On Rumble. We're good there. We're good here. Everything's good. Knock on wood. I'm gonna get the link up right now, and you know the drill. You watch the show. You know I post the live link while we were talking. This is my buddy Ed. Ed's been on here a couple times before, and I'm just now realizing I didn't even change the thumbnail. I changed the title. I'm sorry. But yeah, it's a
I
surprise. What are we
like it.
talking? Yeah, what are we talking about? We're talking about the Trump assassination attempt and Biden. I mean, what do you think the show is? I mean, come on, grow up. Um, but yeah, as I was just saying to Ed beforehand, it's a little too much too quick. It's they try to blow Trump's head off. Biden steps down. The Secret Service director steps down. Biden says, I'm endorsing Kamala. Everyone thinks he's dead. He shows up yesterday. Looks like he had a stroke. He can barely walk. Kamala's getting astroturfed out the wazoo. People are saying it's a coup because they're now the White House is publishing delegations of powers. And just in general, you kind of have to look at it and just check out. There's really nothing you go, oh, there's a mushroom cloud on the horizon. And you just go back to making breakfast. You're just like, well, who wants eggs? Like, as there's, 18 megatons coming over the horizon at twice the speed of sound. But Ed, what do you think of all of this? I'm going to post the live link. Why? Well, yeah, I'm going to rudely do that while you talk.
Yeah, well, if you're worried about the nuclear bombs, there's still a chance they're not real. That it's not.
I'm banking
There's
on
a
that.
conspiracy that, yeah, that they're just very powerful bombs. That's bad enough. But this idea that it could go off in a suitcase and, like in Terminator 2, people's going to be grabbing the fence, it may not actually be possible.
Yeah.
So there is that possibility. But I think that I think that the moon landings were faked. That was one. That was a positive lie. 9/11 was faked. Well, it was real. People died, of course, but it didn't have to happen. The people who did it were the ones who used it to do a war that they had planned. So that was fake, but real. COVID vaccines were fake, or the COVID pandemic was fake. But then this is, for me, this is the first one where I'm like, that's fake. Like from the off, I sort of the virus I thought was a bad virus for sure. At the time, I thought it was real, but I don't now. But this one, when it happened, I was like, he's gone down. Come on.
Yeah. So I think I texted you like as soon as this happened, and I was like, "What do you think?" And you actually had a great point, and I want you to kind of go into that about you know, is it the devil's work or is it God's work? But it was an idea I hadn't thought. I mean, everyone, from the get-go, they go, he survived. The other side is immediately like Trump planned this. But you kind of had a more interesting take about like the devil went for it and failed, or God went for it and won, but you're not entirely convinced it's one or the other. Can you go into that?
Yeah, yeah. So what I believe is there's a secret religion that's pulling the strings that has got both sides of politics playing like actors. So Biden and Trump are essentially actors, not in control. And if that's the case, Satan, quote unquote, is staged it. But the other side of it is what my other rational friends think. You're one of my rational friends, is you think that God intervened just enough to cause the bullet to miss, which it's not necessarily what I think, but it's a 50-50 toss up. The devil staged it or God saved it.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Nonetheless, the implications are supernatural. And I would go so far as to say, so I had on an actual special forces sniper yesterday who was like, what happened could happen. But he is like, it'll never happen again in a million shots on a million targets. And the fact that well, who are they shooting at? Were they shooting at the local manager of a grocery store? No, they're shooting at the former and potentially next president of the. You do get into divine intervention territories, and I'd go so far as to say for the people that are, you know, knee jerk is, well, that puts Donald Trump on a pedestal. Sure, sure. You could go so far as to say that it's not God intervening to, if we're just going along this thread of thought, it's not God intervening to because Trump is some good guy. It might be This happens, civil war breaks out. America is still the anchor of the world in terms of projection of power and deterrence. If we fall in a civil war, immediately things dial up to 11 in Ukraine. They dial up to 11 in Gaza. China probably moves on Taiwan. It could be billions of innocents lost, and it might be, you know, if it's getting in the way of free will, you could say was the devil and the entire. I mean, obviously the entire conversation we're having is way out there, but it's, you kind of have to suspend disbelief for what we're going with. You could say this is has nothing to do with like Donald Trump's some good guy. I personally don't think he really is. He's thrice married. He's a womanizer. He's very vain. I like his domestic politics, but I don't worship the guy. I never have. It could be more of has nothing to do. It could have been me on that state on that pedestal, right? And it would have nothing to do with God saving Tommy or God saving Ed. It could be more of a, you know, innocence lost, prevention of innocence lost. Like the second atomic bomb was going for I think Kyoto. And but because the bombs were so rare and so valuable, it came from the very top, either from Truman or from Leslie Groves, that they had to have eyes on visual confirmation of the target. And they were over it. It's at the end of World War II. Like they had kind of figured out bombing by that point, but it was cloudy. And they're like, we cannot see it. We know it's right here. Radar says it's here, but it was, hey man, orders from up top. And they circled it. Like the story's crazy. They circled it like 5 or 6 times, and they're like, we can't see it. And so Nagasaki was the second target. Does that mean that Japan was being spared? Obviously not, because we still nuked them twice. Maybe there was a concentration of like true innocence in Kyoto. Who knows? But if we're going all, and I understand this is all like kind of
Mm.
a woo woo talk, but it's like we've already agreed that like that's kind of the hypothetical we're talking about. So within that woo woo realm, it could be something like that, or it could be, who knows? It might be. Maybe in a year we'll look back and go, man, that was the worst possible thing ever that Trump survived. Who knows? Maybe this kicks off World War III because he's in power. We don't know. Maybe the devil did win. We don't know. So I don't know. What are your thoughts, Ed?
I think he won for this one because people still think that Trump's a savior. So I think they made him a bad guy in 2016. They did the screw job in the middle where he was fake, cheated out of the election because he's in on it like everyone. And it was all designed to put a preposterous sort of Charlie Chaplin Truman Show-esque leader in like Biden, who's clearly either a clone or a robot or mentally ill. Like
Yeah.
the best case scenario is he's mentally ill.
Yeah.
And it's preposterous that he could be voted in. It's just not possible. But I lost the point I was making. What was I?
Devil versus God. Did God intervene, or was this the devil intervening? Do we know what it is yet? I mean, Trump's the bad guy in 2016. They screw him in 2020.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Was
I
he
think
made
it
a
was
hero
this.
now? Was it what is it?
Yeah. So I think it's like we need a strong totalitarian leader in 2024. What's the best way? Make him hated, cheat him, then give him the Hollywood moment of what happened. They managed to take a photo of a bullet in midair, perfectly framed. He had
Yeah.
enough time to raise his hand. Hulk Hogan was out the next night.
Yeah.
Like, Rick bit his shirt off. You've got to see that this is scripted.
You,
Otherwise, it's World War III. I'm sorry. That's
yeah,
the.
no, you do have to look at it from a critical point of view. There is just, I was saying this yesterday. How else would you, if you really want to bum rush some stuff through, you'd put Trump in. That's how you
There
right
you
now.
go.
If you're just
Yeah.
reading because you got to remember, the psychopaths with billions of dollars, they don't actually care about any of these candidates. It's just who is the most opportune. If you're them, how would you, I don't know, how would you get a bunch of white guys to enlist in the military? How would you get a bunch of people who are looking at Biden's withdrawal from Afghanistan, involvement in Ukraine? How would you get that to go out the window? How would you get, like, I don't want to do this anymore. The military industrial complex is raping the world. how would you get a bunch of guys just turn on a dime and be like, we're going after China? You'd have Donald Trump in charge with a
Hmm.
scar on his ear. It's his revenge arc. I mean, now could it be that we're just kind of giving it a retroactive logic? Sure, we have no idea. And it might be that it's organically falling into place. It might be that he survived and now a bunch of big money is going, hold on, there's an opportunity here. I mean, these are investors. These are guys that do find opportunities and then put a bunch of money on it and make more money. So whether or not it was planned, whether or not there was supernatural forces behind it or around it, it could also just very well be you have a bunch of guys going like, hold on, let's it's they're discovering Facebook early on. They're like, I'm gonna throw a couple hundred million behind it, you know. So I don't know. I think we're still for me at least we're still too close to the actual event for me to get one. There's still too much data consistently coming out every day that completely changes it. So like the actual the actual like data that we have available is shifting and expanding every day. Um, it's unlike 9/11 or something where it's like, 5 years later you find a new video and then 10 years later you find a document where it's a trickle. We're at what, like 13 or not even, we're at like 10 days. We're at the 13th day. We're at 11 days. The body of knowledge is expanding a significant percentage every day. Just was there a drone? Did he have a rangefinder? Where did he go? What about the money he had? Oh, he had a bomb in his thing. Here's a new body cam video. Here, the head of the Secret Service steps down. Yet it's still shifting so rapidly. And then it's also just for your own mind. We're not cold calculating computers. We're human beings full of emotions and neurotransmitters. It's still far too close to get like a rational, right? Like the day after 9/11, it's it's just they attacked us, right? You can't look at it kind of coldly from a distance. And I think that's another problem is emotionally, it's still hard to, and there's just new stuff happening. Even if you can start to maybe look at the Trump assassination attempt with some sort of logic, it's like Biden stepping down, he's endorsing Kamala. Is it a coup? Like it is, there is a lot of stuff. And then you have to wonder, is this all by design? Are we just being absolutely overwhelmed with just saturation fire? I don't know. I'll shut up, Ed. What do you think?
Well, the world, it's preposterous. The idea that a world leader couldn't call another world leader and say, should we agree not to have a war? Yeah, that's good. So should we share the wealth? Yeah, that's good. It could all be in 10 minutes. Like, why is all these events keep happening one after the other? That's putting everyone on nervous. It's like making people not clear what's really going on. So I think that's what's going on, to make people not sure what's going on, and in the future they'll fake something else that everyone will be sure that that one's real. Could be aliens. Like,
Mm.
but think about that, because that could draw people's eye up. I saw it. Well, it could be a hologram, but well, don't shut up. Like, you're ruining it. Like,
Yeah.
we finally got something to really blame. So all bets are off what can happen if the New World Order conspiracy is in fact true.
So what do you see unfolding in the days and weeks, I suppose, coming? Is any of this going to slow down or is it just going to keep dialing up?
It feels that people are sort of certain that there's a fight back, but I just kind of, I guess I worry that it's all echo chamber. Like, it's like, oh yeah, people are waking up, but it's only in the small circle of people that sort of think they know what's going on. So it feels like people are waking up. I don't know if that's just it's just like a small echo chamber of people who it's only within themselves that they're waking up more, if that makes sense. So I'm not really sure. People won't take the climate change debate, so that's why it's a good thumbnail. If anyone wants to talk about if CO2 is bad, no one has yet taken me up. No one in the Chia network. They're measuring carbon credits. So if you want to debate, is carbon dioxide bad for the environment? I'm saying that no. Actually, CO2 is good for the environment. So if Donald Trump, Elon Musk, anyone wants to debate me on Tommy's podcast, I'm here. Climate change is fake. And that is the key to it all.
Actually, then let's get into this because I've done so many episodes about the Trump attempt that I'm growing tired of it. It's so this is
And
actually
by the
my
way, your show yesterday was brilliant. I saw it
which one? I think I did a couple yesterday.
with the analysis of the shooter. You mentioned it today, but I saw it.
With Clay Martin. Yeah, yeah. No, that one was fun as hell. Um, explain then why climate change is fake. Explain because I've had on Dr. Patrick Moore, who is the co-founder of Greenpeace, and he is as like hardcore granola hippie as you get, and he's done a 180 over 50 years, and he's like, this is all bullshit.
Hmm.
He's like, carbon is good. Like, so that guy did. It's not like it's not who you'd expect. So if that guy doesn't turn, I'm much more, I guess, willing and malleable to I don't technically I personally think it's a control mechanism. I'm not willing to say that global warming isn't happening. I think it probably is. I'm not there on that it's humans, it's the sole fault of humans, or if there's even anything we can do to reverse it. It feels like it's happening on a much larger scale, be it plate tectonics or like solar activity. I I'm I wouldn't necessarily say it's not happening. To me, that's not the important part. The important part is did we cause it and can we fix it? And I think the answer is no and no. I think it's like saying that my podcast is causing the mountains to move a millimeter a year. It's like, dude, this is so much bigger than you. This is bigger than your family. This is bigger than America. This is bigger than written language, right? Those mountains were there before, apes were walking upright. That's what I don't deny that the mountains are moving. I think we had no part of it, and I don't think there's a fucking thing we can do to change it. That's how I look at it. I'm like, it's there. The moon's there. Has nothing to do with if I recycle or not, right? That's kind of my thoughts on it. But can you maybe go into for the, I don't know, the person that's not open to that, and because I really am just tired of talking about Trump getting shot at. Uh, your thoughts on that?
So the basic premise of their argument is that carbon dioxide is causing something that leads to sea levels rising or the climate being affected or change, climate change, different from now, could even be made better. But let's just say climate change can only make it worse. Where I've been in my life, two separate places on this planet, 30 years apart, the sea levels are exactly the same place. So you talk about science, personal experiment is hypothesis, physical, whatever results. For myself, the sea level's exactly the same in Asia as well, where I've also lived 15 years. So sea level I've witnessed not rise. But also at school, CO2, you were taught that the trees kind of breathe that in, or whatever the thing is they do, and then they release oxygen. That was like one of the things I remember learning. So even if the temperature of the Earth is rising, which I don't think it is, but if it is, and even if the sea levels were rising, which they're not, at least that I've seen, then there's still no evidence whatsoever that CO2 is the thing causing that non-effect that's not real, but could be. And if it is, it can't be that.
Hmm. So then what was the purpose? Is it as simple as it's just it's a mechanism of power?
Yeah, I think if you can make, because they program the world with group dynamics, they probably took Freud and released like 5% of his notes, whatever. They program the like society together. So if you can make one bogeyman, everyone has to fight against, and if you don't, then you're like the nail that comes up above the surface, you get hammered back in. Then they've got the ultimate control mechanism. So that's 15-minute cities, FEMA camps. It's all going to be linked to carbon credits and climate change. So I'm a big thumbs down for that.
What is then the optimistic or the silver line thing? Like, and so like one reason I try to view the positive is one, I have to for my own mental health, but two, it's also more it's fun to me. It's a challenge because it requires no unique thought or daring imagination to say things are going to get worse, right? It's entropy. It's like, if you clean your room, eventually it will get dirt. It never gets cleaner. If you leave it alone, it eventually gets just messier. Like that's not it's not fun to me. One, it's pessimistic and depressing, but it's also just not a challenge. It's fake and gay, to be frank. It's just it's fucking retarded. So one of the reasons why I try to stay positive is again for my own mental health, but it's also it's interesting. It's challenging. It's like how does this work? Right? My perfect example, like my podcast. Like I can sit around and when I first started, I can be like, it's not going to work. There's too many podcasts. Like wow, what an original thought. Your entrepreneurial endeavor isn't going to work. Wow, you're a real bold thought leader. Like it's much more fun to be like, how would it work? What niche could I find? What crack could I pry open? So not only does it sort of lift my soul, I also
Hmm.
like it in terms of like it's a puzzle. I'm like, how would it work? Like what would it look like? Even imagining it, I'm like, what would it look like? You can imagine how it would look like if it didn't work. I'd have to quit and shut it down and go get a job. All right, but what would it look like if it did work? Like, well, I don't know. I figure I would do it full time and I would continue to grow my list of guests and it would provide more freedom and I would be able to go off on these secondary and tertiary projects and build like the gaming stream or something. Like to me, it's more fun to imagine it working out. Not only is it lighter and more positive, but it's also more of like an actual intellectual challenge. Like so it's very easy to say, it's all fucked. There's going to be 15-minute cities, biosurveillance, dystopia, Matrix. Congratulate, not you. Like, yeah, the World Economic Forum wins the end. It's not challenging. I like to imagine like, well, what would it look like if it wasn't that? Maybe Trump turns his head. You know, maybe the New World Order is thwarted. Maybe there's decentralized power in the form of crypto or nuclear energy or space travel. Like, so that's why I have to sort of not only have to, but that's why I like to. So, w where do you see it getting better? Because again, it's so simple and unoriginal to see it getting worse. Again, not saying you're saying that, but just as a premise.
Well, everything's going to get better because I think, as I touched on last time, the media is just a tool of control. Currently, it's a weapon against people. So we've never lived in a world where the media has been used for good. So that's a 1,000, 10,000x, 100,000x change in the world just if the media is used for good. Fix poverty overnight because you just draw attention to where poverty really is instead of not. So that'd be a massive multiplier. That'd be the biggest. The media finally being not owned by one family, basically. And then you've got blockchain, which is peer-to-peer. And though it's not perfect in every respect, it is an alternative financial system that can't be deleted. So at the same time all this craziness has happened, you've got blockchain, which has come along, which helps. And the conspiracy theorist in me would think, well, you've got to be careful that what if they're the two choices they planned, and that blockchain is what they're really trying to get you on under the guise of freedom. But for me, it does seem like a genuine thing that can lead to change. And I think let's say the third point of this mini triangle of hope is some sort of peer-to-peer voice network. I think the future of media is peer-to-peer voice, not video as such, but like walkie-talkie, but uncensorable, that can go from one side of the world to the other. I think that'll be the ultimate savior.
You expand on that? How is that different than what we have now? And to someone like me, who I probably should know more about this, but I don't. It's all magic to me. I open up Zoom, I do the episode, I upload it to the URL, and it's over.
So as I visualize it, I'm using a piece of software that's transmitting it to Zoom. The Zoom is converting it to somewhere that's going to its server, that server then goes to your thing, and then somehow it's being sent to Rumble. That's roughly it. Whereas ideally, my voice would be just going straight to you
Hmm.
from my microphone to your ear with no middleman at all. And that strangely is not common, although I believe that it has been invented. It's called WebRTC. But that maybe just be the first stage, but in theory it's peer-to-peer and uncensorable. So the next step of that is some sort of shared virtual metaverse, even a flat 2D screen, where we can go that's uncensorable and then talk in real time.
How would that come about?
Well, it's about spreading the word of it in interviews like with this one, raising awareness that Whitney Webb, you've not been on Tommy's show yet. What are you doing?
Tried to get her on. I can't get a response.
But yeah, that's interesting because you have to think, could it be controlled opposition? But I think she's nice. I trust her, but just being extra critical. But yeah, I've emailed her too, but to introduce her to Chia, which is Bitcoin too, as far as I'm aware. But if the spoken voice network could link to something that links to the crypto, then you've got a peer-to-peer media and also a peer-to-peer payment mechanism as well. So then it's just, well, where do we meet? And that's where the shared virtual, probably 2D metaverse would exist. Like a website you go to that isn't a website because that'd be centralized, but something probably on blockchain that links to data layer where you just go and it's always the same place.
Yeah, the payment method would be one thing. For like 3 weeks now, I've been battling Stripe payment processor. I had no problem with them for 2 years. And then out of nowhere, I mean, literally as of this morning, it got like everything's fine. But it's after I have been in like a 100 message battle with them. I got like top people from locals involved. I got a fucking lawyer involved. And I was like, because people always said when you get banned from Stripe, it's done. Fuck that. And fuck them. And so I didn't do that. But that was a very real example of like the spigot can be turned off. And that is still a choke point.
Yeah.
To me, that is still like a glaring problem, right? It's like when I got my first strike on YouTube or first warning, that was when I started uploading to BitChute and Rumble. That was like early 2020 or like mid 2020. Way before, it's like a year and a half before I got banned from YouTube. But I was like, well, there it is. It's starting. And it wasn't like, well, it won't happen. It was like, no, it's when it happens. It's not if, it's when. And sure enough, I eventually got iced from there. But even with everything, I don't trust any of it has any true staying power. I just don't. I think that humans are flawed. All it takes is one person not having balls or one person being some just objectively weaker human being who caves to censorship because they don't have a backbone, they don't have a spine, they don't have balls, they don't have any testosterone. They're just it'd be easier if we just go along to get along. Fucking faggots. Like I trust in myself to fight. I don't trust that, there isn't some whoever I was arguing with at Stripe was probably like 600 pounds, had a neon purple mohawk, and cut their dick off a year ago. Like, I don't think I'm fighting like a formidable opponent, but because I use that service, that also means I don't have a formidable ally. So I'm definitely with you on that. I really don't trust any of it. Not to be like blackpilling, but it's just I don't know how you can trust any of it.
Yeah, yeah, and if you think about the centralization of like supermarkets and food and just how much of it is poison and garbage, like there's almost no real food in supermarkets. And that's weird, but it should just be meat, cheese, and just really healthy food, right? But the thing is, animals can be treated really well. The people treating the animals badly are these people that control all the supermarkets and the business. So all the tortured animals are actually hidden away from sight. And you could just have giant fields of cows that are loved by humans that when they're whatever 18 years old, you knock it on the back of the head and it had a good life and everyone eats the healthiest food. It doesn't even have to be, we don't need supermarkets. Do you need one cow? I think it's one cow for 6 families for 6 months or something. It's got that much meat on it. It's just share cows and like a field of cows. It'd be fun to do. I don't really want to hit it on the back of the head, but that's got to be better than torturing animals secretly and putting poison in supermarkets. Like, so what I'm trying to say is there's a positive picture of how food could actually be in, say, 10 years, because we're eating poison now.
Mm. And then for, for Trump, do you think that this is just a Trojan horse for dark forces to get back in?
I think so. I think it's divide America so that people, basically, there's a civil war, and then they can impose martial law. Trump will be the guy who you trust because, this is a one-off, and then it's central bank digital currency and digital biometric passports, and then it's game over. So better to stop that happening, I think. 5G is a weapon, by the way.
So you think he's going to be rolled in because, yeah, it's I mean, Alex Jones used to say, right, back in like 2016, he was like, how do you get the left who is, free speech, don't trust anyone over 30, that whole kind of 1960s movement. How do you get them to start calling for censorship? You get an evil guy like Trump, misogynist, yeah, billionaire, boogeyman. How do you get the people that are like, free speech at all costs, government, get the fuck out of my house? How do you get them to start marching in lockstep for government lockdowns? You do it with Trump, right? How would you get a bunch of conservative pro-gun guys to start saying like the government needs to have a heavier hand? We'd have a guy like Trump come in and be like, I'm gonna fix the border. We're gonna go to war with China. We're gonna deport all these illegals. Now all of a sudden you have a bunch of guys that are like, don't tread on me. They'd be cheering on National Guard convoys in their neighborhoods. So I do kind of feel like we're being conned at that point. But then you have to start going, is like, zooming out even more, is the purpose of this life, or is it, is it almost biblical where it's like there can't be any true, we're not even biblical, choose your holy book. There can't be any true salvation or peace here because like it's a fallen world. Nothing, it's a sandcastle. It's eventually going to be eroded. It can't be perfect. And is that the lesson in all of this then?
Yeah, it comes back to earlier, that fine line between is it staged or has God saved it? You're looking at it like I'm just not really sure. It's fascinating, really. It's negative, but it's also strangely fascinating. Trying to figure out what's going on. There's never been any time like it, really.
And then part of me thinks like, have you ever seen those things where it's like comparing computer chips to like in their formats and architecture to like I don't know, like satanic sigils or vigils or something. You ever seen those where it's like you pour salt on the ground and you make, everyone knows about like the pentagram, but there's something where it's like I don't know, I forget what it is. I don't know. It's some like satanic or dark ritual, some occult thing. And like the markings you make on the ground look identical to like computer chips. And the theory is like this like technology is the Antichrist. We think it comes wrapped in like
Mm.
ease. I can order food. I can do a phone call. I have the weather. But it's actually like every computer chip is actually like a, I don't know, like an altar for a black mass or something. This one's way out there, but it's fun. Um, and then you have to play that like, well, how do I feel subjectively? I don't know anyone that feels worse after unplugging from like the internet for a day or two.
Mhm.
Almost maybe if you're in like a long-term relationship and you can't, I don't know, call your girlfriend or something, but like even as me, someone who does a podcast for a living, I always feel better. 48 hours unplugged, you stop worrying about like, is there a coup in the White House? Instead, you're just like watching the clouds kind of move over the horizon. You just see a bird just flying in circles. You see the water, just the sun, and then it goes down, and you really start to appreciate sunsets when you're not on your phone. You're just like, wow, look at that. It really is just majesty. And it's like, well, what is that? You're like extricating yourself from the demon. You're not playing with the demon. You're just like, this is beautiful. And then you get on your phone, you start scrolling, and within an hour, you're like, oh, going forth China. I mean, the Federal Reserve is printing money, and out of man, Mr. Beast's producer's pedophile. You're like, fuck, oh God, and like, very rarely do you unplug from it, and like, is it bad? So is this just that? Like, is it a fool's errand to try to find some sort of utopia or positive use for technology, or are we supposed to just unplug entirely?
The current iteration is designed to break your body and spirit. You know, when you see people hunched over, people's postures have been destroyed in the last 15 years. It can be fixed in like about a month, but the nature of like a touch screen, it's just not, humans just don't work well with that. Phones are designed to be terrible, so phones and technology could be so much better. I'm a big proponent of the arcade machine, you know, like the 1980s, there'd be the remote right and buttons. That was, everyone could do it, really fun. Like, I think that's going to come back because they're basically just standing PCs. It wasn't really a games console. They hid a PC in a cabinet, pretended it was a games console, stuck that in the house, and then you got the PC, which is an ugly thing. Keyboards, so unintuitive. It's so, like, it needs to be something that you tap or move. And so I'm a proponent for that. Technology that is physical or aesthetic more than like centered on something that you can't even, like, it's just not good. Mentally, it's not good using a phone.
Yeah.
So there's going to be something that is good in the future, probably in the not too distant future. It'll be linked to blockchain. I don't really know how. I'm thinking a lot about that currently, but yeah, so much of today is like weapons, basically, psychological weapons.
How would it be linked to blockchain?
Sorry, I missed.
How would it be linked to blockchain? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I think it's likely because you've got that being the location of decentralized passports. So if your decentralized money and decentralized passports are located there, a spoken voice network is almost certainly going to link to there. Doesn't have to, but it just makes a form of sense that business commerce would go to the same place where the money and the passport or the identity is. So you're going to talk to people with your identity, peer-to-peer voice networks. So that cuts out the current power structure completely, basically, because you're speaking directly to people. You can prove who they are with their decentralized ID passport, and then you can also send money or NFTs or links to them, and there's no middleman anymore. It's just that final piece of the voice network that needs to connect to it, and then that's it. That's the core of a new system. So yeah, Whitney Webb, if you're listening, let's talk.
Whitney, please come on here. Elon, good guy or bad guy?
So casting a moral on it is hard. If I was brought into a secret family and forced to, let's just say, act for the sake of interest, because I don't think he's smart technically. I don't think he can even operate a computer. If he's willing to talk technical things, I know a lot about blockchain, I'd happily see if he knows anything about blockchain. I don't think he's smart. I think he's probably a bit of a dummy, but a nice dummy. And I suppose he was born into something. So playing along with it, does that make you bad? I think I'd probably do the same thing, to be honest. So what I'm trying to say is he's in the elite. His profile picture on Twitter is still a satanic costume. It's been a year now.
I'm gonna pull that
Even because there's like lots of rumors of what's going on. Oh, conspiracy, Satanism. It takes a different sort of person to wear the devil's costume for like a year when you're a public figure. It's just hiding in plain sight. X.com breaks all the rules of branding. Twitter, tweeting. Twitter was the first name. Twitter, tweeting. X. Oh, that's strange. Why is that there? X, the X-Files, X, he had X.com. What's going on here? Why is X suddenly in there? So yeah, I think he's part of the script.
Still there. It is. It's not a good look. He just still dressed as Satan. Like this, like that's also not like grasping or anything. That's not some like, oh, you're really reaching. Like, no, it is a good point that's maybe not brought up enough. Like he the richest man in the world who wants to put a brain in your chip or a chip in your brain. Who wants he's like land he's the single biggest like individual contractor for the Department of Defense, the military industrial complex. He owns and what is he doing? Was it a one-off? No, it's been a profile picture every day. What is it? Is he dressed as a warlock? No, he's dressed as Satan. It is kind of like, but maybe there's some almost logic in what you pointed. Like you said it, and I realized like yeah, I know he's dressed as it, but I haven't thought about that since like he wore it as a Halloween costume like a year and a half ago, or almost 2 years ago. Was it last year or the year before? I think it was almost 2 years ago. Right?
I'm not sure.
I don't think it was last October. I think it was the one before.
Well, that's a double
Well, my point is like
mark there.
we're laughing about it now, but had you not brought it up, if you had asked me what's his profile picture, I could like say in my mind, it's like, yeah, he's like looking to the side, he's wearing like a red like, but it's like, what is that really? It's like he's dressed as Satan. There is something almost nefarious about it's not, it doesn't even stand out in my mind until you point it out, right? You're just like, yeah, it's a way of just sort of normalizing it. Like, oh, that's Elon. He's a jokester. He's a jokester, just dressed as Satan. Have you seen the thing where like this where the Space Force logo upside down is like Baphomet's head or something?
Wouldn't surprise me. Yeah.
Like if you'd said that 20 years ago, you kind of get labeled as like a schizo.
Well,
But
NASA is almost Nazi when written
yeah,
down.
best case scenario is Elon like trolling the satanic elite. That's more of a stretch than saying he's
Best
part
case scenario.
of.
The best case scenario is that he is in the satanic elite, but he's going to bring it down. That'd be the best case because it means he is a good guy, and him seemingly playing along with it by telling you AI is bad, but he's the one that's behind it. And he does also tell you we can just turn it off because it's actually just a computer software. It's not actually what they're saying it is. If AI is dead, turn it off. Like, no need to have a further chat. Turn it off and we'll turn it back on when we're sure. But of course, he's the guy to make you comfortable with it, I guess. But yeah, he's putting brain chips in people's heads and electric cars. Don't get me started on that. They look like weapons to me. I'm already the conspiracy guy saying we've not been to the moon. Now I've got to tell people their beloved Tesla could be remotely activated, but it seems it can. And you can't put the things out. Teslas can't be put out when they're on fire. Someone explain that to me. Please, someone explain that.
It could also be though that it could also be that you truly can't do anything great. You know, a knife. You can cut dinner and serve it to the family. You can stab grandma, right? And there is truth to that. Like, you know, like early on in the podcast, I always get called a Fed. And like it's almost like you don't want to look at it and be like, no, it is possible to just work really hard, be respectful, and build a network over years. It's so much easier to say Fed, right? And there is almost something like that where it's like he's building a control structure. He's a demon. It's like he might also just be like the mind of a generation. He might be our, you know, our Einstein or our Rockefeller or our Da Vinci, you know? It's like I'm sure there are people that will like that Da Vinci is channeling demons. He is so talented. He's making, you know, engineering plans for because Da Vinci did like draw up an idea for like a helicopter back in or when was Da Vinci alive? 1500s? Like he did that. He was like into like cutting edge like anatomy and physiology. He was also like a painter and an artist. He is the Renaissance man. And I would imagine at the time people are like, this guy is doing sigils with demons. He is fucking he's a he's Satan. And it's not until it's been 500 years that you're like, maybe he was just a truly spectacular mind, right? And so there is almost something kind of funny about, if somebody was doing long distance calculus, like you burn them at the stake, you're like, it's a witch. Versus now, we're like, oh fuck, they were pushing science forward, right? So there is also something about like, is Elon Satan? Now, as a caveat, it is difficult because he's dressed like Satan. So that's you know, that is that gets. I don't know if Da Vinci dressed like Satan. This is a little harder because he is dressed like Satan, but he also might just be like the mind of. And I'm not married to any one idea, but we also just might be witnessing a once in a millennium mind, a guy that
Mm.
has self-landing rockets, has internet in space, wants to put a chip in your brain so you can merge with AI, has self-driving electric cars, and he's boring tunnels under the earth, and he bought Twitter for, and we might just be like witnessing like a Tom Brady or a Michael Jordan, and our sort of primitive mind is so it's just so we're just immediately being like, he's a fucking now. But again, a counterpoint to my point is he is his profile picture is Satan. So that's that is a point in the other column, right? It's not like we're saying all this and it's just a picture is just him cheesing, right? He is dressed like fucking Satan in his yeah, I don't know. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Ed? In I got another show in like 10 minutes. We gotta wrap it up relatively soon, but your thoughts to my ramblings.
Well, if he's the real deal, he'll do more live interviews
Hmm.
because that's what you would do if you were a genius and b man of the people, etc. You'd gravitate towards live media. The fact that he's not is a bit of a thing. I think he was exposed in that Twitter space that the BBC journalist did. I thought that BBC journalist did a tremendous service. I don't know if you heard it or heard the story of it, but basically an independent BBC journalist, as independent as you can be, I guess, kind of emailed him to try and get him to do a live space, which is obviously on the Twitter platform, and he got it. And I'm not sure that Elon Musk knew what the live space was, even though he's the head of Twitter. Because when he got there, I think there were cameras set up, but the guy did the live space with the live audio. So it was 100% live, is what I'm trying to say, which I'm saying is quite rare. I think he exposed Elon Musk in that interview, which I guess it's archived, it was recorded, but then there was this big thing, the BBC bad journalist, and the cover story was to make it seem the BBC had misrepresented something Elon Musk had said. I can't quite remember it, but they made this big thing, and then no one really talked about the actual things Musk said in the space that he got caught out with. So if he's the good guy, he would be doing more and more of that sort of thing.
Hmm.
But if he's not the real deal, I would say there's a higher likely average that he would veer away from doing that sort of thing.
Hmm. That's a fair point. Yeah, right. Yeah, truth doesn't mind it being questioned. There is something about that, and it's yeah, why not just throw it all out there? Why not? That's a good point. Yeah, it's like if a news crew walked up to Michael Jordan and were like, shoot a 3-pointer. He wouldn't be like, I gotta have my team here. He'd be like, give me that fucking ball. Just fucking J ball. You want another one? You want another one? You want another one?
Yeah,
He'd shatter the backboard at 60. Yeah, that's a good point.
if every ball inspired 1,000 people that you shot, there'd be
Yeah.
no reason not to. So come and speak on Spaces. Come on Tommy's podcast,
Come on,
Elon.
Tommy's podcast. Ed is my hype man. A lot of people don't know that. Ed is my unofficial, unsalaried hype man. Ed, we got to wrap this up. I got it ready for the next show.
It's been a pleasure, my
As
friend.
always, I like the jacket and the tumbler. You showed up here with class. Respect.
And also reform Pink Floyd, Tommy.
reform Pink Floyd, a new form of music at gmail.com. Please look at the at the thumbnail. You can go find it. And I think I have that in the description. But Ed, gotta wrap this up right now. As always, dude, I love you. Take care. God bless. Always great chatting with you. And I'll text you this. All right. All right, brother. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks,
Thank you
Tommy.
for watching.